So, hello, folks. It's Saturday, March 18th, 2023. I hope everybody's enjoying their weekend and happy belated St. Patrick's Day. I know it's been a while since I've done a video again, and I hope to start getting more consistent. So, today we're going to talk about Chris Sky running for mayor of Toronto and the Pierre Poilievre slash Christine Anderson incident that went on. I know that happened about a month ago or so, but I still want to talk about it. So let's dive into it. So Chris Sky is running for mayor of Toronto in the next election. For those of you who don't know who he is a pretty influential figure over the last few years since the COVID lockdowns and all that kind of fiasco happened and the tyranny that happened. And he was pretty big on social media, built a following and everything. And yeah, he's a bit of a controversial figure, I will say, and a bit of a wacky guy. But I mean, really, to be in politics, you almost got to be a little bit wacky or a little bit out there at times. But he seems good-hearted at the end of the day, and it seems like he wants to do good. And I will say he was right about the COVID lockdowns and the vaccine passports and called it about 6 to 8 months before it happened. I mean, I saw videos of him online saying, yep, this is going to happen. The lockdowns, the passports are going to come in. And I thought it was kind of a conspiracy theorist or a conspiracy theory at first, but then it actually ended up happening. And I was like, wow, he was right. And he says he wants to do stuff like change energy in Toronto, fight the digital IDs, especially at places like airports, 15-minute cities, etc. And I heard him say this on an interview on Instagram with Monique. I don't know her last name, but she also goes by independent journalism. And I agree with a lot of what him and Monique said about the digital ID, the 15-minute cities, the facial ID, etc. But it seems to me that him and others don't completely understand how government really works in Canada. Like here in Canada, we don't have smaller government and more decentralized government like they do in the United States. Like in the United States, for example, state governments and local governments have a lot more jurisdiction and power than even the federal government does generally, where in Canada, that's not really the case. Like the federal government is really King Kong, here in Canada. And if you really want to get a lot of change, you need to get hold of the prime ministership and its cabinet. Like, for example, for the most part, the federal government can pretty much go into any province and veto anything they don't like that the provinces do, and then the same goes for the provinces to municipalities. Like the province can basically go into any municipality and be like, we don't like that, and we're going to change that. And municipalities, basically, at the end of the day, are just creatures of the province. They're called, and unfortunately, that's the way it works here a lot in Canada. And, I really like the American system better, how it's broken down more. It's more decentralized. And the founding fathers did it that way because they didn't want, the federal government and, the power to be more top down. They wanted it more to be bottom up, for example. But on another note, a thing to mention here about municipal government, too, is that if I were Chris Sky, I would be trying to get people that he knows and that are on his side and that believe in the same things as him to run as councillors as well in this election, because at the end of the day, the mayor is just the head of council. That's all the mayor is, essentially. And, if he doesn't have enough councillors voting for what he wants to pass, say if he were to become mayor hypothetically, he wouldn't be able to pass anything he wants to get done. And that's actually how it works in municipal government. So he needs to get people into position or have people run as councillors that could help him out as well. And overall, do I think he would win a race as a mayor for Toronto? Unfortunately, I really don't think so. I hate to be pessimistic like that, but just knowing Toronto is just way too super liberal of a city. There's just way too many far left people in that city, too, and I just don't see it happening. But moving on to the Pierre Poilievre Christine Anderson incident. So he called out some of his conservative MPs, such as Dean Allison, who's here locally, actually, where I am, Leslyn Lewis, and Colin Carey for meeting with European Union Parliament member and German AFD party member Christine Anderson. He said she was racist, hateful, anti-immigrant, Islamophobic, etc. he sounded an awful lot like the left, and especially Justin Trudeau here, folks. Like, that really turned me off to him, and I already lost a lot of respect for him anyways. She stood up for Canada in the EU Parliament, called out Justin Trudeau for acting like a dictator, and supported the Freedom Convoy. And my overall thoughts on Pierre Poilievre is, I think he's a huge shill, and he tried to take advantage of the Freedom Convoy. He voted for most, if not all, the restrictions, etc., that were put in, at least at the federal level, during the whole COVID fiasco during those 2 years. And he just came in when it was politically convenient to do so. He went out there for one photo op, and that was it, where you had guys like Max Bernier and Randy Hillier, who are true Canadian patriots, who were out there with the people the whole time, went to several different events and everything, and never changed their tune at all. And you know what? I personally think a guy like Max Bernier, even though I don't really trust anybody at the end of the day at this point completely, to be honest with you, he deserves to be prime minister. And I would love to see even a guy like Randy Hillier be premier of Ontario. But unfortunately, the legislature in Ontario basically ran him out and went on a witch hunt after him as well. But that's about all I have to say about that. I mean, one more thought here is, like, anybody's better than Trudeau at this point, I think, but I don't think Poilievre is going to be the guy to save this country and to really get it back on track at the end of the day. Like, we might even need somebody who's just completely out of the political establishment and who's never been in the political establishment to begin with, almost like some kind of Trump-like figure, or maybe even somebody who could be greater than a Donald Trump-like figure, like a great champion like figure. If you've ever read The Fourth Turning, folks, which is a really good book by Neil Howe and William Strauss, which I've mentioned in other videos as well before. But anyways, have a good day, folks. Peace out.